Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining for the April 22 monthly Labourlaw update, and also for the program on Unsung Hero in HR Making a Global Difference. We welcome Mr. Veeraraghavan and Ms. Archana Arunachalam. Before we proceed with the special webinar, we'll just have a very short update on the monthly law labor updates for this month. This is an old amendment with which we are starting. It's a 2017 Act and which has been notified in September 2018. But still, I think many are not aware, or at least we have not discussed it in our forum, and therefore we thought we should bring this to your kind attention. This Act is applicable to all organizations which have employees more than 100 persons, and the word used is persons. And when it comes to healthcare, even if there is 20, that's sufficient. And that's how the Act has been, the application of the Act, and it has come into force in 2018 itself. What is an establishment has been defined, and the definition is wide enough to cover most activities in it. So most of your establishments would be covered under this Act. In terms of this Act, you are required to have a policy. You need to have a complaints officer. Your policy should be on your website. You should ensure that there is data protection, especially where you're taking records of HIV related information. Then such data should be protected. And on an annual basis, workshops and awareness programs are required to be done. And the complaints officer should be given adequate facilities and infrastructure to decide any kind of complaint. So there's also a redressal mechanism under the Act. So, and there is a specific organization which has been formed for this. Any complaints would need to be sent there on its, and whenever any complaint is received by the complaint officer, he is to investigate it, give his recommendations to the employer, and take action on whatever kind of complaint that is received on this particular enactment. The scope of this enactment is to that limited effect. And within 7 days, a reply should be given. And the complaint officer, who would be one of your own employees as well, but you would need to ensure that rectification measures are taken. The person who has committed any kind of violation undergoes a training. So these are the different things that are provided under this Act. For purposes of complaints, there are quite a few issues that needs to be done in terms of the Act, and we thought, therefore, this month there is no other significant other amendments. So hence, we thought we should share this with all our viewers. As far as the circulars are concerned, as you all already heard, up to 2.5 lakhs of Provident Fund becomes taxable after that. So how to tax it? What is the TDS provisions regarding that? The EPFO has come out with a circular, and where your account is not linked to PAN, your PAN and the account are not linked, the TDS component will be 20% and not 10%. And various other things have also been provided for on the taxation front, like if there is an international worker, how is the Provident Fund and how is the tax to be deducted on source, even in respect of such international workers, has been provided for in this notification. The ESC Corporation has given a minor deviation. Instead of 11/5, the annual returns can be filed before 26/5/2022. And the time limit for depositing contribution was also extended till 34. Of course, we have crossed that period now, but it was extended till 34/22. In Karnataka, all kinds of restrictions that were there have been removed, and factories have been allowed to restart the creche facilities in every location. One more, this is more of for your information rather than any kind of complaints that is there. The Provident Fund portal as of now requires employers to also connect the contractors, and that the EPFO has taken it up very seriously as to And the next step, what is being done is that the labor authorities and other statutes are asked to give details, especially under the Contract Labor Regulation Abolition Act. They are going to seek details from such authorities on the RC as well as the license under the Contract Labor Act. And based on that, they are going to see which contractor is covered, how many employees are there, and all those kinds of complaints issues they brought in for an organization with regard to contract labor. This circular talks about what is the manner in which things should be done by the officers. The idea and purpose of the notification is that it should ensure the contractors get registered and they cover their employees. Moving to our next segment, a quiz, a short one. The strikes and lockouts, do they pertain only to public utility service? Is it right or wrong? We'll take your answers in the end. Please do share your answer in the chat box. In the knowledge corner this month, we want to go and look into what we call as the admission of guilt. So what happens is employees where they could kind of indicate that they are admitting to the guilt, but they may try to justify their actions. So will these be treated as an admission of guilt? So when you what the courts have held, and you don't need to adduce any evidence in this regard, as what has been held by court. For the management to then bring a witness, examine him in a domestic inquiry, and conduct a full-fledged inquiry if there is an admission by the employee. But can you infer admission? Admission of guilt should be unambiguous. That is the crux. Many times they try to justify. So there could be a case of where a person says, yes, I was absent, I was unauthorizedly absent, but my unauthorized absence is due to X, Y, Z reasons. So in such cases, you can't say it is an unambiguous admission of guilt. So he's trying to justify his action. In such cases, you would not be in a position to just take it, okay, the guilt has been accepted, we will discharge with the inquiry and straight away propose a punishment that you think is deemed fit. So I'm not saying you need to hold an inquiry, but if the admission is not unambiguous, it's better to at least try to get one where the employee is clear about his admission and he admits his guilt without any kind of reservations. Similarly, there's also thought process if an employee doesn't deal with the charge or he does not in his reply talk about it, then it's an admission. Well, courts have held that's not an admission merely because he does not deal with a particular charge in his explanation. The next one is where, as I mentioned already, where there is reasons being given that cannot be treated as an admission. In your know your codes, any person, even if he's a supervisor, or he could even be a manager, but if his salary is less than 18,000 under the IR code, he would also answer to the definition of workman. Similarly, yes, women employment is provided for under the Occupational Safety Code in night shifts, but it should be with their prior consent. It is not that without consent, you could ask any women to work either before 6 a.m. in a day or 7 p.m. in a day. In the case law corner, first what we're going to see is about Supreme Court judgment on workman's compensation. In terms of the workman's compensation, whenever an injury is suffered, there is a liability on the employer to pay compensation to the employee. And of course, if he's covered in the ESA Act, you don't need to. And any delay in payment attracts a 12% interest. In this case, that 12%, when does it start was the question. And it has been taken that interest should be paid from the date of accident and not of the order of the authority. But from the date of accident, it should be paid. That's what the Supreme Court has held. This is a case where some interim payments were being made to employees. Whether such interim payments would attract gratuity, Supreme Court again has observed it does not form part of the definition of wages, and hence it need not be reckoned for purposes of gratuity calculation. There has also been certain queries under the IBC. When a company goes under liquidation, what happens? Will the employee dues take precedence over the other dues, or provident fund, ESI, gratuity? And the Supreme Court has clarified, saying that employees' dues will take precedence, and they have to be paid at the first instance, right at the top of the pyramid. They are there in the waterfall mechanism, they would be at the top. Again, very similar on what happens with the resolution professional. We will share these judgments. In the POSH, the judgment we are trying to say is whether women, a girl student, could give a complaint. In this case, the complaint was taken by the principal, given to the police, but no action was done by the college itself, and it was held. No, it's a complaint under POSH, and even the girl student can give a agreed woman under the POSH Act. These would be your complaints requirements. We will share the PPT to all participants. You could have a look. Given the paucity of time, with this, I will conclude the monthly webinar, and I'll request Archana to take it over from here. Thank you. Archana, I think you're on mute. Archana, you need to unmute yourself. You're still in mute. Can't hear you.
Yeah, I think we were restricted by the host. Now, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Loud and clear. Have you audible? Thank you so much, Anand, for the wonderful knowledge and all that. Hi, everyone. My name is Archana. I'm a HR professional. I've been in this HR space for about 16 years. I worked in consulting and also in corporates with different spaces. Like I've been in supply chain, I've been in sales, I've been in high performance work systems, and few of the companies I worked with was Kellogg's. And I'm currently associated with C6 Energy, which is a startup firm. And I'm there. I've joined them pretty recently, and I'm there to build the HR process and systems from scratch. But today I'm here to introduce to you all an interview and an unsung hero, Mr. Veeraraghavan Manikam, and it's my privilege and honor. Veera, are you there? Can you hear us? Is your mic and video ready so that we could start? Veera, are you there? Veeraraghavan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. But there is a lot of issue around the video and audio sync. I have some little trouble with the video. I kind of tried to get into this through my phone, but there is a sync of audio laptop versus phone is a challenge. So probably I might like to go with an audio, if that is okay with you.
Yeah, it's okay for me. But the only thing is the audience will miss seeing you and your expressions. I think we'll miss that.
No, I will try showing, because I was trying to juggle with both. I'm finding in some difficulty because the voice is starting to do that.
Okay. Nivedita or the host team, can you help fix with Veera, or should we start?
While I do the video through my mobile, it works. But when my mobile is on, I have a problem with the echo coming in both the sides. So I think it's quite strange. I don't know how to fix this
Okay.
now.
Okay, wait. I think we'll get started in the meanwhile. I hope it works and people will get to see you.
Yeah.
Recording in progress.
All right. So
This is how I look.
it's my honor.
So
Very
there's a echo that you are seeing in the call, right?
Yeah.
I'm just getting out of this, but anyway, there's a lot of echo from here. Yeah.
So then we'll hear you, Veera, and not
Go on,
you.
Archana.
So that's sure. Hi, everyone. It's my honor and privilege to be interviewing Mr. Veeraraghavan, who's very affectionately
You can
called
go
in
ahead,
HR
Archana.
faculty. Yeah, I am on. Can everyone hear me, please? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, Veera, I'm on and people can hear me. Can you hear me, Veera, so that we could get started? Veera, are you there? Anyway, can you check?
Sorry, I'm back. Some technical issue again. Sorry. Archana, are you able to hear me?
No worries, Veera.
No.
I can hear you loud and clear, Veera. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Technical glitches, all of us understand. When we start something, it's always a Murphy law. So I'm very happy and privileged to introduce to you all Mr. Veeraraghavan, who's very affectionately called as Veera in the HR space, who's done some amazing work in the field of HR, IR, you name any aspect of HR, he's put his foot in everything. And he's not just tried his feet, but made a success story of everything, making a win-win for both the employees and for the organization. So this next 45 minutes, I'm very happy to interview him and he's going to answer us to all the questions we have. So let's tune into Veera. Veera, I know you're a HR professional now, 20 years, a lot of experience, but we would like to hear from you a little about you, how this Veera started, baby steps, what was your childhood, how did you get into MSW and HR? Can you give us some inputs there, Veera?
Okay. Thanks, Archana, first of all. To kind of just start off this conversation, is always good to kind of talk about how I grew up from the childhood. But at times it can be boring to people. But I'll try to kind of keep it very short. So as a kid, I was always kind of involved in many other things like learning karate and then learning professional dancing in Western dance and all, and choreography and all. So that's how kind of my interest, my passion, and also I write some Tamil poems and all that stuff. So, and also a lot of interest in the script writing and stage and all that stuff. So that has been my interest. And then I kind of slowly developed interest in social work. Early in my school, from 11th standard, I was NSS school leader. And then kind of organized various camps with external agencies. And one of those camps, which was organized by MSSW at that point of time, I was kind of nominated to kind of manage a 1 month camp with the street children. And that's how I knew about Madras School of Social Work. And then that's what I should say, that it's a starting point for me to get start dreaming that one day I need to be doing some master's course in Madras School of Social Work. So that was my inspiration to join in social work. And then I did my college in Vivekananda College in BCom. All of that, I know, being a dancer already at that point of time, I used to have a very long hair. And then Vivekananda College used to be very strict. And then they don't allow people going like a punk here and there. So I used to hide my long hair under my shirt and then start going to the college. Unfortunately or fortunately, whatever, I used to come in the Doordarshan and do many shows at that point of time as a group. And one day my principal came to know about it and then called me. And then I was really nervous. And then finally, my luck, he kind of started appreciating me for what I did. And then that day onwards, I was allowed to kind of go with my free hair out. So that's my kind of and then found by luck or with my extra curriculum, I had some advantage of getting into social work, and then I had done some project already with Mira School of Social Work because of the street children, and also had an advantage during the admission process. Thank you.
Thanks, Veera. That's so nice of you to spell out all the notorious things you've done and still how you managed it to find your way into HR. So you told me that, you went to the street children, you met them, and there's something triggered you and you became, get into HR. Who's you? I mean, you could be I'm sure you're the role model for many HR today and maybe in your organization and for many youngsters. Who has been your inspiration, Veera? If you have to name someone.
That's a very good question, Archana. If you look at, if I start specifying one, actually it is in reality, it's not one, right? There are many people who inspired me, and then also sometimes in part of some stream, they also mentored me as well. Today I can, to be honest, I should say that I'm a reality of, or a reflection of whomever I have interacted with in my career, in my personal life, right? And then each one of them actually shared me. For those, when I said each one of them, means almost everybody whomever I've interacted, the people who I liked, the people who I didn't like also. And those are the people and friends, colleagues, and whoever is, everybody contributed to my learning. Some of the people who I didn't like actually gave me a hard time, but those hard times are also teachers, right? Teaching many things. And then that really kind of, if you ask me, many inspirations and many people who inspired me. And then, of course, some of the people could be in this call as well. My first inspiration is, of course, the person who taught me dance. Through dancing, through choreography, a lot many things. Even till today, I kind of implement some of those fundamentals of teamwork, and also some of the creativity. How do you influence people through kind of accepting your ideas? All these things I learned through my this one. Of course, my the first job is TI Cycles. My first supervisor is Ajib Nambiar. Of course, he's been a great inspiration. And of course, I should not miss out on telling about Dean. I own one person who I kind of look always up in terms of even at this age, he's far more energetic than many of us here, right? I really wonder when I am down and I used to think about Dean, and then how come he's so energetic even after so many years, and then so elder to me, right? And one of those inspirations, and so many people. I should also recognize many of my cross-functional people who kind of helped me and then give my shape to my ideas to get implemented. So many people, Archana.
Thanks, Veera. I think you just flipped some words, and then I could hear somebody hinting me here. You and Prabhudeva share some stages together, is it? I've heard something like that. What is that, Veera? I'm curious to know.
Okay, so see, I don't know. I know Prabhudeva. At the same time, I don't know him because I don't know whether he still remembers me, right? Because we are in the same space, and there is. If at all he remembers me, I think that's well and good. But having said that, there are quite a few people who are in the film industry doing very well, who are my friends, who are my team members. Like Noble is my team member, and then you must be knowing Dinesh is one of the best choreographers also in Tamil industry. Noble is very famous in Telugu industry, and these people are all well known to me. And then I interact even today, and then of course. There are many other actors are also kind of well known to me, and one is Badava Gopi is my childhood friend and also a teammate. He does a lot of those days he does a lot of mimicry and all that. So in the whole process, when you are in when I'm talking about a time where it's around 86 to 1991, 92, these are the times where I was very popular in dancing, doing a lot of stage shows, TV shows, and all that stuff. So. So that's a kind of a very different than what I used to do social work, and then that's how I knew quite a few people in the industry.
So I know that you're a very good break dancer and then you're amazing choreography. So I know that you're just not popular for your HR practices, but also for your choreography and dance. I think we can come to you for both of that. And no reason you fit in as a fiddle, that's the reason you're fit and slim and trim. So, thanks, Veera. Okay, so Veera, you told me that your first job was TI Cycles, and then now you're with DuPont. Can you give us quickly in terms of how you started with your first job? How was it from your choreography, dance to social work to cover? You had a mixed bag, right? So how did you settle in your first job? Then how did you move on to just a quick career map and how did you go along to different? Can for us to know?
Yeah, thanks for asking the question, and that's definitely interesting. Because when I did Madras School of Social Work, my specialization is not personal management, industrial relations. I didn't take that course. I opted for community development. Though I had an option, I didn't take at that point of time. The simple reason I don't know much about the personal management, industrial relations. So I was all into social work, and then I was into that kind of a thing. I never knew anything about industry or a factory. And of course, my other friends are specialized in personal management, industrial relations, but I didn't somehow get an interest there. So I was all into social work, especially in community development. I enjoyed the rural community development because in community development, the two things are there. One is urban and another one is rural. So I have a lot of interest there. So spend a lot of time learning about all of that. When I completed my course, my final year, I got a job on a temporary basis in the Madras School of Social Work on projects. And I was also searching for a job. And then there was a campus interview came from TI Cycles. They were looking to start industrial social work in TI Cycles. So luckily, kind of, I got through the rigorous interview what Rajiv Nambiar and Inbashekaran did. They said that we have kind of interviewed so many people, and then you looks to be very genuine when the way you kind of talk with conviction, whatever it is. That point of time, I was lucky. I should say that more than my intelligence or capability, they kind of very considerate to see more favorable view on me, and then took that. And then after a year or so, that is the first time I am seeing an industry. First time I am seeing a factory with 3,000 people. With a lot of very massive factory, and then it's very new to me. I couldn't kind of figure out what's going on. And then the way people talk, I was more involved, interacting with more people are in performing arts, and then social work, and then getting into industry. At least in people who have done PM and IR would have done some summer courses or a concurrent placements and all that. I have not done all of that, right? So right on the first week, I had to kind of make a presentation to the union members. Luckily, I did well because of my own flavor of communicating, very different from normal. So I was totally coming from a different background. So I was able to do it very successfully on those initial starts, but it took some time for me, at least 6 months time for me to really adjust towards the setup. But it was a great learning there, a great guidance from managers like Rajiv and Inbashekaran and all, really kind of supported. And then they also recognize that I'm little different than normal. So I was kind of able to take that advantage also of being a little more crazy. At the same time, I was in a lot of anxiety also in first 6 months. And then later on, I was able to kind of manage and then get going on that.
So after your TI cycles, then how did you get into DuPont, and then you progressed that, something about that? And then I'll ask you more details on DuPont, because I've read about DuPont and the success stories and what all you've done in DuPont. But then just quickly, if you want to tell me after TI, how did you get into DuPont, and then how did you progress the ladder?
Yeah, so after TI, I joined L&T, which is Artco Valves. So that was almost a greenfield project. I was responsible for recruitment. I was responsible for industrial relations, and it was a very small plant at that point of time. There were people and all, so I was able to build around close to 100 to 200 to 300 people on board at that point of time. And then I'd worked there for almost 5 years there, and then a lot of after we did some work around self-managed teams there. We just created the culture where people have to just write on the supervisors goes and write what he wants on the shift in terms of the target, and then the people deliver it, right? So those kind of things start initiating, and various other initiatives there, including the skill inventory and all that, involving people, recognizing them for their improvements in their skills. All those things have been initiated. But later on, I also kind of got into IR issues there. The CITU was a union, and then we had a major strikes, and then we had to kind of handle that piece before we sign up the long-term settlement. And then during this period, I was kind of started my social work approach also helped in terms of my connection with the people there, which helped to kind of mitigate certain things to go out of control, even beyond what happened in the strike period. So then that is a time where I was started feeling that I shouldn't be seen as an IR person. So I just want to also see that I got an experience in industrial relation, but I also need to kind of focus on many other things which I need to know. So that's the time I was looking for a change. Then I moved to a startup company called Netflix and Netfinix, not Netflix, Netfinix. And by the time I joined, I was there for 6-7 months. And by the time I could realize that the company isn't doing well. And then during that time, I was kind of not knowing that whether I will get the next month's salary at all. So personally, what was a big change for me there? I was in a very stable organization like TI Cycles and L&T, where you don't have to bother about whether the next month's salary is going to come or not, right? So when you get into a situation of 7 months, you actually started feeling what an instability will look like, right? And then really during that time, I personally felt that I was able to come out of the fear that even if there is no salary, I think you should still feel confident and then still overcome that. I think I was very thankful for that bad experience, but an excellent learning where personally how I'm able to manage that instability and uncertainty in life, right? And actually until date, I think that is actually helping me. Without that experience on that 6-7 months, what I faced, I think I would not have been what I am today, whatever little I have, right? So then I shifted, I got an opportunity with Pioneer Seeds. Pioneer Seeds is a globally known #1 seed company in the world that was acquired by DuPont at that point of time in 2001. I got into the job, and then that time Pioneer was locally in joint venture with SPIC organization. So once they taken over by 100% by DuPont, SPIC was out with the joint venture, and then I had to kind of work through the integration with DuPont and Pioneer for India, and there was a head of HR for India. So that's a kind of a big work. And then later on, I got also an additional responsibility of managing the talent management for Asia Pacific for Pioneer organization, where I was responsible for countries like Pakistan, China, ASEAN countries, Australia, and also Singapore and a few other countries also. That's the time I was spending some time in terms of coaching the leaders in terms of hiring talent, succession pipeline, how do we build talent in an organization. All this thing I was coaching the leadership of each of these countries. And then in 2012, I got into promoted to handle DuPont South Asia businesses, which has got 10 businesses at that point of time. And then it was around close to around 4,000 plus crores organization, and then including the shared services, including all businesses, and then also R&D and all that. So that's how my transformation happened. And then after that, we had a major merger with global merger with DuPont and Dow, and thereafter we kind of split into 3 different independent companies without any relationship with the parent companies. Then I had managed all of that mergers and demergers. And then finally, I chose to come to Corteva, which is one of the offshoots of these 3.
My God, that was a rapid
I know it's a very
fire.
long answer. I'm sorry.
No, I said that's a rapid fire. You started from IR to union to then you went to talent management and then whatnot, mergers, acquisitions, etc. That's really, I mean, it's very easy because, generally people pick up if they're in Compton, when all through their life they're in Compton, then or the recruitment, but you've tasted every and you've delivered in every role that you have done. Veera, I'm just quite curious to know. So when DuPont started, or EID, I think they were around 38 to 40 crores, if I'm not wrong, from what I read. And today they're about 3,400 crores with different mergers, acquisition. And it's not possible just because the process and systems, it's because of the people who work and, they all have a common goal they work together, etc. So you've been a very significant part of that, and you've ensured that you played in different roles that you took up, right? And change management is not easy when you have a merger or acquisition. You have something coming in, and then you'll have to tune your people, get them skilled, again get to it. And apart from that, again you had a bad news of a demerger, and it should have been a big nightmare for you. So how did you manage? What were the challenges you had? And I'm sure I read that you did a lot of hypercare and high care and ensure that things were delivered. No wonder the business delivered and to what is it today. Can you give me some inputs around that, Veera?
Yes, Archana. So actually, DuPont was larger even that point of time. And then the seed business where I took up the HR lead role was 38 crores business. Seed business is a very tough business, right? And then we built that business by itself to around close to around 1,500 crores. And then it has got a lot of journey in terms of how do you kind of revamp the organization, how do you kind of help the culture of the organization to kind of support the growth in terms of key intervention, in terms of structural changes, in terms of positioning the organization to what you intend to kind of go there. Since I've been in this organization for almost 21 years now, and I could really saw that what efforts we have put together and how it is really resulted, the way it is intended, right? So bringing up an organization from a 38 crores to maybe 1,000 crores, and then now DuPont, after joining DuPont, has become 4,000 crores as well as an overall business and all. But experience in the seed industry is very different. We had a very plant, which was a world-class plant. We installed the capability with all the best of the machineries, but we could get only 80%, only 20% of the output of the capacity. Then we have to work on multiple ways. Then we saw that there is a need for us to kind of understand and diagnose what is the problem. One of us is the people. And another one is when you have a world-class machinery, we also need to have the mindsets and the capability to kind of deliver that. So we kind of did some effort in terms of solutioning to the business. Business was struggling for quite some time after investing that. So we kind of made a proposal to people and the leadership and said that let's do something. In any way, we are only getting 20%. Let's do something experimented. So we kind of implemented a high performance work system, a process for around 15 months. Through that process, we kind of address various aspects of the culture, environment, productivity, and so on and so forth. With that, we are able to get around 95% of the productivity up with the cost of rate 50% down, right? And then that is one intervention. Another intervention is as a pioneer organization, we were very strong in demand generation, but we are not good in channel management, which is fulfilling the demand, right? That's where the weakness is. That's where the competition was doing well. So we kind of looked at that kind of a gap and then started very deliberately looking at the competition sales force. And then we had to grow inorganically because we are having a huge dreams to do. And then started looking at how do we kind of really fix that gap, and then did that. And then also we looked at some of the things like segregating the market as a market, B market, and C market. That's a marketing jargon, right? They kind of classify that. Then I looked at HR. I think we also need to do that. Let's classify this market, A market, B market, C market, and really saw that whether do we have A players there in the key markets. Then there is a gap. Then there is a need for us to do a people development process. So there is a battery of people development process has been put in place for frontline people to come, for individual contributor to become a people leader. There is a 24 months model has been put. And then for people leader to a senior management, there is a process of around 2 years model has been put. All of them are indigenously developed by me and also by my colleagues in cross function. And because of that, we also could get an external global award from DDI for the people development initiative, also for that work that what we did, right? And then to building
amazing.
Yeah, and to get this out there, we need to multiple other things in terms of looking at do we have the right people in the research? Do we have the right people in the field production where the productivity, if even you get 1% up, actually it gives the impacts a bottom line, right? That's where kind of when I start working with the business, a lot many ideas kind of they started sharing. I was able to understand the bottom line. I was able to understand the financial, what they look at, and start providing some solution for the field production, which is a very toughest area. And we form certain teams to kind of, how do we kind of brainstorm and get ideas to improve our hybrid productivity, right from the new launch and right from the existing hybrids, existing products and all that. We just worked around certain teams, self-management teams to kind of on the field to develop and get that. So we looked at the holistically in a step by step in terms of going to each and every functions and then start fixing up all those areas. And that's why we are kind of able to kind of open up the cylinder to kind of get this kind of a big growth.
Sorry, Veera, I have a question for you if I can ask now.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning that, you did high performance systems, then you did a skill gap kind of a model wherein you increase the capabilities to people, and you did some productivity initiatives through self-managed teams so that, the yield and productivity increased, etc. So what is the challenges, because if anything is going to come, like in a normal environment, vis-a-vis a high performance work systems where there is no supervision and it is, supervision operation. So the managers and the other upline could have got little jittery about it, right? So what were the challenges you faced, Veera, and what did you do differently to become a success story?
One thing I realized based on the implementation of high performance work system, because I think Dean's team has got a very good battery of things and experience around these areas, and he helped us on that. But one of the learnings what we had is, see, if we have to create a performing work culture, forget about a system. If you want to really create a performing work culture or a performance or an output, I think first you need to create the confidence in the workforce. To get the confidence in the workforce, they need to get the skill. They need to have an open communication with all the transparency that you can have. We need to involve people in the decision making. Then many other stuff in terms of daily operation, daily connect and all that, that brings a confidence to the workforce, right? Once the workforce get the confidence, then you implement some of the things of what you normally do in terms of reducing the workforce, reducing the lead time. You use the people to kind of get that. So then the overall confidence level actually goes up. And that's very important. That's what a cultural building really helps, right? Without that confidence, whatever the great state-of-art initiatives that you do, it doesn't fly.
So rightly said, Veera, it's about the trust in the leadership and trust that HR brings, that, there's some light in the tunnel, which automatically they deliver. Veera, I've also heard, so I mean, most of them, I think they can understand Tamil here. You mentioned right? So you've been a Olagam Sutrum Valiban, where you've traveled from South Asia, China, and all of that. We did it in talent management. So what differently did you do there in talent management? From IR, you moved your wheel. I'm sure you were talking about work systems and skill building. So what was your flavor in talent management with South Asia?
I don't know whether I did go around some of the countries for sure, but now Valibana Allian Teriade, 28 years in porting in Poda Manding would have been better. So
salt and pepper looks only
okay, so I did see one of the things, if you look at as a multinational organization, many would say that, okay, you guys have a lot of process already in place. What does you have to do? What is that you have to initiate? If it is an Indian organization, we have all the free hand to do what we want to do, right? But luckily, in my case, in DuPont and also in the Seeds organization, there's a lot of free hand was given, right? When the problem is huge, I think people look up to you or look up to everybody, right? And I took that advantage of making many initiatives on my own, including the people development activities and all it. One external award I was telling them from DDI and all that. So people, external audience from the other countries, kind of within the organization, they started kind of wanting to know what's happening, right? That actually kind of helped me to kind of go to many places and start working with those leadership and then see what best we can do. And I'm also certified as targeted selection by DDI. I'm also a trainer. So that also helped me to kind of connect with various other countries to kind of train people in those areas and share my experiences. And most of my experience, I think one of the things I realized is people want solution from HR, right? Whether it's a bigger problem or smaller. And then a moment you start, our solutions start working, what happens is they want more, right? They want more. So that's how slowly slowly and steadily I was able to consult with few other people outside the countries, and then they want to kind of coach their teams, other HR teams there. and then learn some new things and all. And one of the things, being in creative area, I also did some board game, which is a Monopoly kind of a thing, where it is also integrated with the performing arts. 20 people at a time, they actually play a game, and then it is driving a core value messages for the people, right? So I, along with my colleague Vishwa, kind of designed the program and then kind of implemented across India. Imagine covering around 3,000 employees. And then this is something they were so inspired and so curious across the world. And then they also gave some global award internally. And then we also able to kind of take it and to other countries and coach them in terms of how to implement some of this aspect. This is a kind of, we have kind of very lighter movement. Sometimes you need to have a thrill, and sometimes it can work out very well and then bring some excellence out of it, right? And this is one example. And many such conferences where they want to know, where we displayed our work in terms of holistic approach, what we did in India. And any good work, I think there is always attraction and there's always a curiosity. That's why we are able to kind of visit many countries. And also there is many conferences that we, as a global organization, we always have. That also gives some platform to kind of learn from other countries in terms of how do they do, and each and every countries are different. So that's my kind of a journey there. And also,
I think you're very good in making veg biryani or kurma. Like, you put your creative stuff, you bring your choreography, you bring everything, and then you deliver it to what has to be delivered. That's so very nice of you, Veera.
Yeah, in fact, another thing also, where we also started a HR chat service organization 10 years back. We implemented Workday and then I was a design team member for that implementation of that. And then moment you get into the HR chat services, there is a lot of self-service that manager has to do, employee has to do. And there is a question in terms of, if everything is HR chat services doing, what are you guys doing in HR as an HR BP or whatever? So those kind of a big change management we had to do across the organization. And that also kind of helped me to kind of interact with multiple people across the country, and also some of the external folks like Deloitte and other E&Y and all that stuff externally, kind of make sure that how do you manage those changes, not only in India, across Asia Pacific. I was part of the design team to kind of manage those changes as well. You said you're right. I think it's you can call it biryani or you can call it an avial. But end of the day, I think it has been sometimes, though the taste wasn't that good, and sometimes it is. See, one of the things I would say, Achana, so sometimes you build something on your own, at the same hand, you have to destruct it as well. That's the most painful moment as well. So one of the things what we did is some time back in DuPont, we kind of started a DuPont Knowledge Center, the world-class research facility we built, right? And we housed close to around 300 scientists in that thing. And then unfortunately, because of the merger, before the merger, or due to the merger of Dow and DuPont, we need to kind of cut costs on many aspects. And then somehow they felt that it's not working out. They have to shift the station to some other place. So we have to actually, with our own hands, I think we have to kind of, whomever you start recruit and develop, we have to kind of dismantle the whole thing and then close down that area. And then we have to find jobs for those people. Using our contacts with outside the countries, and also we appointed an agency to help them out to outplace. And then luckily, majority of them are doing extremely well in other research organizations where they are very successful as well. So the reason I'm saying is not always the avials are very tasty. Sometimes there is some kind of a bitter gourd that you have to bite. Sometimes that is good for the organization because of the longevity that an organization sustain. At the same time, it's very painful for us to work through some of the things. Though it's the right thing for the business, but at the human angle, we have to do whatever the necessary and right thing to do to help people to kind of get over of it, and then maybe finding another suitable career for them. So it's a mix of multiple things, Archana.
But nice of you, Veera. Even if you had to do something like, the many say that, every initiative has an expiry date for it, but we'll have to keep it going. But nice of you that though you have to kill it, you had another way to find out, again, doing good for people. Vera, from all that you said, you had your own roller coaster rides, you had your ups and downs, learnings, etc. And then you have done different facets, not just IR, then you stepped into talent, then you got into, HR automation and HR systems. Then you've done a lot of things across the globe. So there are a lot of HRs here, including me, who'd like to be a success story in future in life. If you have to tell them, like, these are my principles, or these are my, some of the tricks and trolls from which I learned, if you have to tell us that, what was the reason that you're very successful today, and in every role that you took and you played, you were a success story, and it led you to what you are today. If you have to give us some messaging or around that, what would that be, Veera?
Come again. I couldn't. There was a little bit of a gap in terms of a voice.
So I was
Last
saying,
line.
you heard me from the beginning, or you want me to repeat the last bit?
Last few lines, that will be better. Yeah.
So all I was saying is, Veera, so you had your roller coaster ride, and then you had your ups and downs. In 28 years, you've gone to different grind, and then in every role that you played, you made a success story, right from IR to community development to mergers, acquisitions, change management, lot of things you've done, and you have everything on your plate. Name everything in HR, you have a tick on it. So we have a lot of HRs here. Even I'm a growing HR. So if we have to learn something from you and say, these are the principles, these are the USPs which I had that led to my success, what would that be, Veera?
Okay. So I know in this group, there are many seasoned professionals are also there. And I could also heard from you, Archana, that a lot of young professionals are also there. I'm sure that the experiences, what the learned people here in this group, definitely worth sharing. But thanks for giving the opportunity to kind of give some thoughts on this area. So one of the things is, I would say that which helped me, probably I'm sure that it will help others also, is we need to be really passionate, right? Beyond what career growth that we may aim for. I think the first thing that we need to be more passionate. And then that is also, there are times where when things are not good, I was passionate. I want to make some difference, whatever, and things were good. The same passion was there, same initiatives, whatever. That passion is very important. And then the second thing, what I kind of look at is renewing oneself, right? Renewing oneself is something is very important, because today, if you look at some of the competition is coming from outside of the industry, right? For example, a Sony Walkman was more famous and many people were using it. Something MP3 came or something, Apple came up with some product. They became the enemy for that, right? I'm sure that many such examples where the competition is actually coming outside of the industry, right? And then even if you look at HR, a lot of automation is coming, right? A lot of automation is coming. Many other functions, even marketing function or any technology function, is actually working to make the job of HR obsolete, right? It means that I think we need to shed out something and then focus on something else, which always need to renew in terms of we need to spend more time in terms of understanding the strategies, understanding the business, understanding the finance, right? Understanding what are the leverages of our businesses and what are those allied businesses which are propping up in the future. Because earlier days, probably when I started my career in maybe 92 or 93, wherever, the pace of technology is very limited. They're saying that, okay, change is coming, but it took some time, right? Now we are in a boiling point where the technology is actually very, very growing, very sharp day by day, right? It's more so for the young workforce to kind of renew themselves to keep up to the pace, and more as a people like me also to keep up to the pace. I think we also need to be very relevant, right? One, being relevant to the profession. Second, relevant to the business, right? When you become relevant to the business, only you understand the business, only you understand the financials, only when you understand the leverage of the businesses, how they can make good success in whatever they do. So that is another thing. And also, I would say if it is young professionals or even with people like me with some whatever experience, I think we need to always open to reading a lot of books. Not only HR books, I would say. I was getting a lot of insights from marketing, contemporary marketing books, business books. Those are the area, and finance books. Sometimes I also read spiritual books, but I think it's out of context and out of syllabus if I talk about a little bit around that. But generally, more books that you read, more knowledge you get. And then it's also not important with that. I think as much as possible, try to apply some of those things what you have learned. I can have some examples of calling of what all things I've implemented, but it takes even more longer time. But for young professionals, I would kind of suggest some of those things like that. Right. So this is my overall this one. I don't know. People also need to also learn from the success stories. Like I don't know how many people would have really known about Dabbawala, especially the younger folks. Dabbawala is a great inspiration. Like you look at them, they're not they're not graduates, or not even school, right? They were able to kind of set an example for how Six Sigma has to be run, right? Right. I think knowing about them, what they do, right? There are similar other groups, and many people are very successful, but they're not, that may not be popular, right? But they must be doing something world-class stuff is there, right? I think we have to kind of focus on that. And also as an HR professional, we also need to kind of focus on what is right in our hand and then see how best we can contribute to the success of the organization. That's how we can make individual efforts can make collectively, we can look good over a period of time, isn't it?
So rightly said, Veera, if you're not updated, you get outdated. And also HR should partner with the business in order to be successful. It cannot be a functional silo operating by itself. Should work with the business and learn from anything and anybody. In view of time, Veera, this is my last question for you. I'm sure you're doing a lot of good work around community and IR, and through your role by itself, you're giving employment a lot. But I also read that you're doing some amazing work on sustainability, something on pharma, and some future for the world. So can you tell us that? So we'll be very happy to hear that how you're making a difference to the farmers and the community there.
Yeah, so as part of Agri Science as an organization, we kind of involved in a seed, selling of hybrid seeds, and also crop protection product like weedicide, pesticide, and fungicide, and all that. There are examples where through our product, entire state has kind of had a great contribution on their GDP. And then our products are kind of a major impact in many states that we operate in. And I could really see some of those people, verbatums of people. And because I keep visiting farmers and across different parts of India very frequently, along with the sales and marketing team and all. So I get an insight of somehow you feel that how profound your business you are in, feeding the world, feeding India, whatever, because agriculture is a very sensitive topic. It can turn very political if it is not done right? And also it impacts the economy. So that itself, the business by itself, it's very, very strong, fundamentally, very purposeful. That is one of the reasons I was able to, because it's very close to the heart, at least whatever work I do, it's very closer to what good for the nation and all that stuff, right? And good for the world as well. So that is one thing. But apart from that, there are several initiatives by where I was also a little bit involved in those efforts in terms of empowering the female farmers and providing irrigation and water facilities to people and wherever we work. And then so on and so forth. And in terms of, we are also into help people to kind of hire disabled candidates to kind of get into employment, and empowering women folks through multiple work that we do through our sales and marketing organization, where I'm part of those teams. So that helps to kind of, but there is a lot of effort that we have kind of got some kind of a global award also for that effort, what we are doing. And it's not, we just started. I think there are more things to do, Archana.
I think awards and you are so synonymous. I think anything you say, we got a golden award, we got that award. This is really amazing, Veera. That was wonderful. And I am also told by many that
sorry
you're
if
very
I
simple.
come across to kind of.
Sorry, Veera, I didn't hear you. What were you saying?
No, sorry if I had to kind of talk a little bit about the awards. I think this is based on our conversation. I think sometimes I think we need to tell to the larger audience, especially when there is an young workforce is there. I think it's good to say that when there is a good work happens, the awards are an offshoot of it, right? So the award is just not coming. It's because very strong effort done by not only as me. I'm not talking about me. There are several colleagues who have kind of worked through it, and then I'm here very happy to kind of share those successes with the team. That's the purpose of telling, not to bloat about what we did.
No, I didn't mean that. All I was saying is every time you had a role to play and you were making a difference. So it was bested with an award. So that clearly shows that, the proof of the pudding is always in the eating. So every initiative that takes, so you didn't aim for the award though, but then if you have received it, then that shows the quality and kind of work you've done. So simply amazing, Veera. So it was wonderful, nice, so nice talking to you. I just took a look at my time and it's 5 and 3 minutes already. So it's 5 past 3. So it is very wonderful, Veera, talking to you. I didn't know how time flies so this. And for the benefit of all of you, Veera is a very simple and humble person. And as he speaks, you can see he's a very, very humble person. And he's a man of no jargon. So normally HR na namanare a bit man of periya pesano. And the he's a very down-to-earth person. And this 1 week while I was interacting with him for the I knew so much about him and I have very good regards for you, Veera. Thanks for that. So I think it's time for me to shut my mouth and people in the
Yeah.
call can put forward your questions to Veera. Over to you, Veera, for your Q&A session. Anybody from the group who want to ask questions, you can choose them up.
As such, this is Sridharan from CEOTSG. As such, I don't see any questions in the inbox. So, shall we say that no? If there is no other question in Veera's inbox, then I think we can conclude it.
Sridhar, I have an opinion here. Maybe we can pause for a minute. Maybe people didn't want to
Yeah.
write. Maybe they wanted to ask you directly. So we can give them 5 minutes so that if anybody wants to shoot up, then they can shoot.
There is one question. Let me just check. No, it's not a question. It's just a thanks message.
Sir, I'm not able to hear what you said. Archana, would you kind of help me out?
Yeah.
You were saying that.
If there are any questions in your by inbox, you may straight away answer those questions. But in the common inbox, there is no question. So sometimes participants can
Yes, I also did not receive any questions.
Okay. So what Archana was suggesting is we'll wait for
question. Tougher I think I'm fine. Yeah, we can wait for a few minutes. People can ask any question. Tougher question Archana pass pannilla.
While we are waiting for the questions, Veera, I think we were together in Murugappa group at least for a while. When you were in TI, I think I was in carpenter.
Oh, great, sir.
So when you started referring to Rajiv and
I think that is a time where Mr. William Paul.
Yeah, he was in TPI and he moved to corporate. I was in carpenter.
Yes.
Small world, Veera.
Yes.
So I think the organizers.
I think there was a group HR director was Mr. D.R. Rao. He
was a HR director at that time, and then just before that there was one Mana Bose.
And actually he won.
I see.
Yeah.
Your voice is breaking.
The person who actually kind of recommended me, in fact, pushed kind of take PM and IR. So I did my evening course in Madras School of Social Work, and then got an admission to do for 2 years in the evening college. So I used to work for TI cycles in the morning, and then evening I used to go to the evening college to do PM and IR in Madras School of Social Work. And Mr. D.R. Rao was kind of.
He was a person behind that.
I think it's around. 93. I don't know whether he remembers me. I think I heard he's in Hyderabad, but after that I never met him too. Okay. I think he's 93. I think.
Okay.
Okay, Veera, I don't hear from anybody now, Veera. Maybe the organizing team, I'm sure you would be sharing your
Yeah,
Veera's mail ID with the team if you want to reach
yeah,
out.
definitely.
And
Yeah, anybody who wants to post any question, even after conclusion of the session, you are welcome. Please post
yeah,
the questions. We will definitely have the answers from Veera and then forward it to you.
sure.
Archana, I think I have to thank you for putting the right question in the right way to elicit the right information, which will be of interesting and educative to the participants. And Veera, you have articulated or explained very well in a manner. It is packaged in a manner that it was very, very interesting for the audience to listen to you. And at the same time, it was very, very educative. This is something I think it's a very fulfilling session that I have been involved. I'm very happy to be associated with this session. Thanks to both of you, and thanks to all the participants for having spared your time and listened to the conversation very patiently. Thank you very much. All the very best to both of you.
Thank you so much. The
Thank you,
pleasure
sir.
is
Thanks
ours.
for the audience. Thanks for this opportunity and really appreciate the
It's
time.
our
And thanks,
pleasure.
Archana.
It's our pleasure and privilege.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank
Veera.
you.
It was
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye, everyone. Bye, CEO team. Bye
See
bye.
you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.